I introduce Tim Carstens, the Managing Director of Base Resources.
Thank you, Trish, and thank you, Bill and Paydirt team, for your resolve in continuing to put on this event despite all the challenges. It really is an important event for all of us involved in Africa, and certainly one we're very, very proud to support. So for those of you who aren't sort of familiar with the Base story, I'll give a bit of context. We're obviously based here in Perth, listed in Australia, listed in London. We built the business around the Kwale operation that we acquired in 2010. We've used that to build our business model, build our team, build our capital base, our reputation, and then decided we're ready to step off the lily pad and replicate it again with the Toliara project in Madagascar that we acquired in start of 2018. And bringing all of that together creates I guess we're trying to create a pretty unique mineral sands company. While we're obviously a small cap by normal market standards, in the mineral sands space, we would be regarded as a mid-cap. It's a pretty small universe, and we're a pure mineral sands company. And there are relatively few ways to play mineral sands in an equity market sense. And what makes us a bit different from our peers around the similar size is that we've got a really established, predictable, highly profitable operation in Kwale, albeit one that's coming towards the end of its mine life. But we think we can extend that. On top of that, we have what we think is the world's best undeveloped mineral sand asset. The more work we do on it, the more we like it. And it's not just us that think that it holds that place in our sector. If you talk to pretty much anyone in the mineral sand space, they'll say the same thing if they're being honest. Once we have Toliara up and running, because of the scale of that operation, we'll have a very long life spine to our business to continue to build it around. The challenge with Kwale as an asset to build the business around was that it had a pretty short mine life. When we started, it was a 10-year mine life. Toliara is the complete opposite. It's 50 to 100-year type mine life. We've managed to, establish a track record of excellence in not just in the development and operationalisation of a mining project in Africa, but all the things that hang around it. We've got a really resolved business model that delivers incredible results in safety, community engagement, environmental management, and we're looking to bundle that up and deploy that in Madagascar. And what helps us to do that is that the whole team we assembled to deliver Kwale and turn it into what it is today is still with us. So in tackling the Toliara project, we're not doing this for the first time as individuals, but as a team. We've been down this road before. We've learnt an awful lot from the process. We're very disciplined in looking back and trying to capture the learnings from everything we do and then building it into the next thing we do. And having a team that's as settled as that is a huge part of being able to do that. We've been able to build a really robust financial platform to build our business from, courtesy of Kwale and the strong cash flows that generate, certainly helped by us sitting in an incredibly robust market at the moment for mineral sands products. It's absolutely defied gravity through the course of COVID. Certainly helped by everyone buying stuff rather than going places. So it's the best market conditions we've seen since we've been in operations. So all of that together creates a company that's got some real relevance in the mineral sand sector. And it's a sector that's going to evolve. There's absolutely a need for new supply to meet the developing demand. There's likely to be some consolidation in the sector. There are a lot of single mine, single jurisdiction companies out there, and as we move forward, I think we're going to see quite an interesting space, and we're positioning ourselves to play a part in that. So the Kwale operation is the foundation of our business. It's we hope the foundation of a robust mining industry in Kenya. We're about 70% of the Kenyan mining industry. We were the first large-scale mine in Kenya. It has represented an enormous opportunity for the government to build around that. Unfortunately, they haven't necessarily grabbed it with both hands for a whole raft of reasons. And the challenge for Kenya is that, as I said before, we're heading towards the end, potentially the end of the mine life at Kwale, and that has implications for Kenya, in terms of 70% of the mining industry. One of the great things about a mineral sand operation, and particularly ours, is that it's quite environmentally benign. We don't use chemicals apart from a bit of flocculant to settle the slime out. It's a physical process. So from a rehabilitation point of view, it's quite straightforward. It doesn't cause major issues with surrounding communities, apart from the occasional bit of dust that we manage. But you can see we've gone quite a long way down the track of rehabilitation. And there's been a very large effort going into that over the last period of time, now that we've got the wall, as you can see there, of our tailing storage facility up to full height. That's now rehabilitated all the way around as far as grassing goes. And we're now accelerating that work onto the South Dune mining area. We're probably about 6 months behind the mining now, and comes together beautifully because we're in a tropical zone. We have 2 wet seasons, so excuse me, everything grows like mad. Pretty conventional mineral sand separation at Kwale, and as I said, as a development, it's done exactly what we said it would. In fact, it's outperformed in pretty much all respects, throughputs, recoveries, you name it. Having said that, we have learnt a lot from the Kwale operation and have built that into the design of the Toliara project. I mean, one simple illustration is the Toliara plant is 38 metres high. The Kwale plant's 38 metres high. Toliara, for a very similar throughput, will be 52 metres high. We've learned a lot about using gravity as our friend rather than moving material up and down. Little things like that will make a big difference to the next operation. We're blessed at Kwale with being quite close to Mombasa Port. We're only 50 kilometres as a full logistics chain. We didn't have to build the main road there. That's the transcontinental highway that connects us up to our port facility. We're right on the port of Mombasa, second largest port in Africa, some 1,700 ship movements a year. So for us, getting a vessel has been pretty much like hailing a taxi. For anyone who's shipping at the moment, they would understand quite how much that's changed in the last 6 months, where we've seen freight rates go up by a factor of 3, and trying to find vessels is quite challenging at the moment. Very successful port. Haven't had any demurrage. We don't have to deal with weather issues because we're inside a port. So that's the template for us as far as what we want to do next. It's been a very consistent operation over time. It's very predictable. What has happened, obviously, as you can see from the red line there, is as we've moved to the tail end of the Central Dune and into the South Dune, grade has declined. We've been able to offset that to a certain extent by increasing the throughputs of the operation. So when Kwale was originally brought online, we were mining at about 12 million tonnes per annum. We're up around 18 now. Which obviously pushes costs up, but has enabled us to maintain the high production levels. We're still running with a revenue to cash cost ratio of 2.5 to 1. So even though we're in the low grade, with the pricing environment we're in, we're still sitting way up in the first quartile of mineral sand producers. So the South Dune is what it's all about now. You can see produces a pretty strong revenue stream. As volumes have declined, revenue has grown and offset that. So we've been sitting consistently up around $200 million US. I should say all of the figures in here are US dollar numbers. We're a functional US dollar business, producing pretty robust EBITDA numbers. It's a highly profitable operation that we certainly hope we can continue to extend. One of the best windows in on the performance culture that drives that sort of consistency and performance, I guess, is our safety performance. We've only had one lost time injury at the Kwale operation, and that was back in February 2014. It was about 2 months after we started, and haven't had one since. We haven't had a medical treatment injury for over 4 million man-hours now. So it's a good indicator for the sort of management disciplines that drive performance in our business. One of the other factors of our approach is we have a very clear line of sight on what it is we want to achieve qualitatively with our operations and our reputation. And fundamentally, that comes down to pursuing excellence in the full life cycle of mining. Whether it's the design and development of a plant, operating it, closing it down, the way we engage with communities along the way, all of that is critically important to us. We're approaching the post-mining land use at Kwale with the same sort of project disciplines as we would approach a brand new development of a project. Going through the full phases of study with the disciplines attaching to that. We're looking to take our model to another level. We've recently established an ESC, Environment, Social and Ethics Committee, to provide some real focus to that. We've continued our focus on our people. We're now 99% Kenyan at the Kwale site. That's 1,000 people on site, 71% drawn from Kwale County. We invest pretty heavily in training, not just of our people, but we also bring community members into a lot of our training programs. So to deliver 133,000 hours of training is pretty significant. One of the really interesting programs we ran over the last 2 years was to bring 24 Malagasy young people who had never left the Toliara region, and we brought them over to Kenya for 2 years. They learned English before they left. They've been there now for 2 years and are about to return back to Madagascar as fully qualified apprentices, having worked on site and completed their training with our team in Kenya. It's been an incredibly successful program for them, but the enrichment that it's given to our team in Kenya to be able to bring these people under their wing and then send them back to Toliara has just been superb to watch. We engage very heavily with our community and try to make sure that we are seen as a respected and respectful member of our local community. We've invested over $3.5 million in all manner of programs around particularly in Kenya, around the mine. Huge scholarship program. We support a couple of thousand kids now from underprivileged families in high school and university. We also have played quite a significant role in helping our community to navigate its way through the COVID pandemic in all sorts of different ways, from dealing with the after effects being food programs to trying to get in front of it by establishing a whole lot of hygiene stations, 150 odd hygiene stations to help people be able to wash their hands proactively and their medical equipment for the circumstances when people are suffering from it. So that it played a big role for us in cementing our position with the community and something we're very proud of. That post-mining land use study I mentioned is underway, full steam ahead. We certainly hope we don't have to deploy it quite as soon as we might otherwise have to. Certainly want to extend the mine life, but we're developing a really clear idea of how we can best leave a real economic engine for the community. From the very beginning of our presence in Kenya, one of our mantras was that if all we leave is a memory of how good it used to be, then we've failed. And this is a huge part of how we answer that mantra, if you like. So busily looking at extensions. The proposed SML extension that we're looking to execute with the government in the very, very, very near future will take us out to December 2023. We've got some other opportunities that are taking shape where we'll be delivering the Bumamani study, PFS study, imminently, and that's that little blue area in the high-grade strip you can see there in green. That will add less than a year, but it will add time to Kwale. And then we're looking at some other areas adjacent from an exploration point of view. We've just got to work our way through some access challenges. And we're also having a really good look further afield. The Karanze area in particular excites us. It's got some really interesting rutile shows, I guess, for want of a better phrase. There's a couple of hypotheses we're testing, including that it's potentially the original source of the rutile we find now in our dunes down in Kwale. We've got quite a large footprint that's coming together. The licences in Tanzania, 3 of the 4 have been granted. We're expecting the 4th shortly. The ones in Kenya have made their way through most of the approval process, but are being held by a moratorium on the issuance of new licences in Kenya at the moment while they clean up some ethics issues. So we're hoping we'll get on the ground in there pretty soon. We definitely will be on the ground drilling in Tanzania quite soon. So that's got some really interesting potential for a significant extension to our stay in East Africa. With all of those, that sort of financial performance, and the delay in the Toliara project moving forward, that sort of presented us with the situation of capital management. We don't call it a dividend policy; we call it a capital management policy. And basically, our approach is, while we're looking to deliver returns to shareholders, both through capital growth and dividends, while we don't have an immediately clear line of sight to deployment of cash, we would return that to shareholders. As a consequence of the application of that policy, you can see the size of the dividends that we've been paying every 6 months from our maiden in October last year. It's a fairly remarkable distribution. You're up around $100 million US that we will have paid out by the time we pay the 4-cent dividend we announced on Monday. Once we have clear line of sight on an FID on Toliara, you could expect to see that tap turned off while we continue to provide the funding for that Toliara development. So brings us neatly to Toliara. Absolutely superb project. We're working on 2 big pieces of work. We got the original PFS, or DFS out, I should say, in December 2019. Obviously, with the passage of time, that became stale, driven by 2 things. One was the delay in securing fiscal terms and the lifting of a suspension of on-ground activity in our engagement with government. The second, obviously, has been COVID. Once we weren't able to meet that FID target, the basis for that DFS kind of fell away, and we haven't been able to talk about the economics of the project since April last year. We've been busily working on an update, firstly to the resource and reserve, which will incorporate a whole lot of the drilling that we did in 2018 and 2019. And for those of you who have been following us for a while, I haven't put it in this presentation, but some of the drilling results are absolutely spectacular in terms of grade, and it steps the ore body out quite significantly. So we're looking to get that out into the market quite soon, in a month or so, at the same time as we're bringing forward an updated DFS. And it's updated and expanded. When we released the original DFS, we did flag the potential for an expansion of the project quite efficiently in about operational year 4. In updating the DFS, we've also incorporated what that would look like to DFS standard. So it's going to be a bigger, extremely robust project. We're really quite excited about what that's going to show. So looking forward to getting that out in the coming months. Once we've completed those 2, we're really going to put the queue back in the rack for a bit. It doesn't make sense to continue forward with too much sort of project work until we've got clarity on fiscal terms agreement with government and the lifting of the suspension. We've been making really good headway with those discussions with government. We've certainly got a proposal on the table that is consistent with a whole lot of sort of data points, if you like, the advice that the government's receiving, the sort of royalty rates that are starting to appear in the draft revisions to the mining code. There's certainly a basis that would work for us. It's now coming down to a question when the president decides it's time to move forward, and we're certainly doing our level best to encourage him to make that decision quickly. Fortunately, our local community is also becoming an increasingly vocal majority and are agitating the president to make a similar decision. But until we've got line of sight on that, we're just going to be a bit patient and not put too much more time and money into it. Not that our commitment to the project is wavering at all. Once we do secure those fiscal terms, there's about 11 months of work that will need to be completed for us to achieve that final investment decision. From there, there's about 26 months to waving goodbye to the first shipment. So on the assumption of a lifting of the suspension by, say, the end of January, we could be taking an FID by the end of 2022. which would see Toliara in production, in the middle of 2025. That's the sort of time frame we see. Completely committed to the project, but we just need to be a bit patient. It's too good to jeopardise. So where does that put us? We think we're in a really good position to grow the business. We've got a really strong track record in all aspects of what we do. We're continuing to generate really strong cash, strong reputation to build on. Governments, communities, peers in the industry, all want to talk to us. Got a very sound financial position from which to grow the business, and as you can see, deliver significant returns to shareholders. We're in a world where there is an absolute screaming need for new supply in mineral sands, and that's driving some real engagement from downstream customers in wanting to participate in the Toliara project in a minority joint venture sense. So we're progressing those discussions. And as I said, the Toliara opportunity is just an absolute monster that we're pretty excited about. So that's base. Thank you.